everybody, welcome back to the channel. I hope you all are having an awesome day today. Thank y'all so much for tuning in and joining me for another video. If you are new, welcome. My name is Brittany of brittanyjjoneslivelovesew. In this video, I'm going to be going over all the supplies as well as getting into the pattern for our next Sew With Me video, and that pattern will be Mccalls 7906. I am so excited about this. As y'all can see, I have all of my normal sewing supplies. I have my notions for this project, my fabric, my interfacing. Here's the pattern. So in this video, I'm going to be going into the pattern. We're going to go over the instructions together so that we're all on the same page and that we're all excited and ready to tackle this project. I will be uploading the Sew With Me video on Friday, February the 15th. So y'all go ahead and get y'all supplies so we can sew along together. I wish there was a way that we can sew together live. I think that'd be really, really cool and loud because we'll have our machines going, our surge is humming. But I think it would be so cool to be able to do it live and we can all just sew together. That's just an idea I had in my brain. Just wanted to spit that out there. I think that'd be really cool to do. But until we get to that point, the sew along for this video, like I said, will go live on February the 15th. So make sure that you are subscribed. Go ahead and subscribe now. Turn on that notification bell so you do not miss it. So now let's go ahead and get into the pattern and all of my supplies. All right, so here is my pattern again, and you can see that I have the larger size in this pattern. So this is the 14 through the 22. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the back and kind of read the description of it. It's a missus skirt. It's very full pleats. They are worn 2 inches above the waist and have a button front and back facing a deep hem, and length and carrier variations. A and C, they have the narrow carriers, and you can purchase a belt for that. And view D has the wide carriers and a self-tie belt that you can make with this if you choose to do that view. Now, as far as fabric goes, I went with some of the suggested fabrics on the back, which is a sateen, chino, cotton blends, and twill. I purchased a black sateen from my local Joann's, and I know you're probably thinking black is whack. I probably could have got another color, and I know, but to be honest, I only have one other black skirt in my closet that I have made, so I am in need of another black skirt. So I'm just using some sateen that I purchased from Joann's, and I went with view C. So I purchased 2 3/8 of a yard. This is 60-inch wide fabric. Okay, so I just went through the fabric that I have. Now let's go into interfacing. Because my sateen has a little bit of stretch in it, I did go with the knit fusible interfacing. I got it in black. I also purchased it from Joann's as well. I will link down in the description box for this, but I really like this interfacing. I think it's nice. I think it's lightweight. I use it for wovens as well as knit fabric. So this is the interfacing that I purchased, and I went ahead and purchased a yard of this interfacing. Moving down to the notions, it does say that we need 1 hook and eye. So I went ahead and I purchased a pack of these from Joann's while I was in there. And it also says that for view C, that's the view I'm thinking about making. It's either between view B or view C. I really haven't quite decided. I'm leaning towards C, but I really don't know. But I did go ahead and purchase 7 3/4 of an inch buttons for the skirt. So here are my buttons. I just got some, you know, standard black buttons. Nothing special or fancy, but I did go ahead and purchase 7 buttons just in case I wanted to make view C on this skirt. Okay, so I just went through all of the supplies that are needed for this skirt. Depending on what view you make, you may just need 5 buttons instead of 7. So make sure that you decide on your view and make sure that you get enough buttons for that skirt. Additional supplies that we will need is, of course, our matching thread. So I have just black serger thread and my black machine thread. Now, I know you may be wanting me to use a lighter color thread, but to be honest, I want my skirt to look good on the inside too. Like, y'all thread match y'all skirt, but you want my thread to be white on the inside. No, no, don't make me do that, please. So make sure that you have your scissors. I like to cut out my fabric with my rotary cutter. I also like to use this small rotary cutter to cut out my pattern. My marking tool for this project, since I am using a black, I'll be using my little chalk roller here. I picked this up from Joann's a while ago. I'll also be using my snippers to snip off loose threads, pattern weights when I'm cutting everything out. I always like to have a measuring tape because I like to measure myself several times as I'm making a garment. Make sure that you have some pins for this project, and then I like to always have a ruler close by. I did take a quick look at the instructions, and some of the pleat lines, well, all of the pleat lines, we have to sew down them and stop at a certain mark. So we need to make sure we have our lines straight when we transfer that. So I have my ruler out and ready to go. So now that I went over all of the additional supplies that we're going to be using, everything that I have purchased for this pattern, let's go ahead and open up this envelope, get into the pattern instructions, make sure there's nothing on here that'll trip us up. And also I need to figure out what size I'm going to be cutting. So let's get into it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move all of these supplies over. Move all that out of the way. Okay, so now let's get into these instructions. Here's my pattern pieces right here. Let me open these up. Now, if you notice on the back of the pattern, the finished garment measurements for the waist and the hips is not printed on here. So whenever you see that, always just go to the front piece of your pattern and see if it's on there. 9 times out of 10, it is. So I'm gonna go ahead and find that piece so I can see and let you all know right now the size that I'll be cutting. Okay. Okay, this is the front piece here. And this is a full skirt, so I'm not surprised that I don't see a finished garment measurement for the hip. The main one that is the concern is the waist. So the size 14 is a 30.5. The 16 is a 32.5. The 18 is 34.5. The 20 is a 36.5, and the 22 is a 38.5. So for this skirt in my waistline right now, I'm gonna go with the 20, which is the 36.5. So that is the size I'll be cutting out for this whole pattern. There's no need for me to merge pattern lines over like I would normally do, because like I said, this is somewhat of a full skirt. So it's gonna fall off of my hips anyway. It's not gonna be hugging. So I don't need to, make sure I grade over from the waist to the hip, which is an adjustment that I normally make with most of my patterns. So here's the pattern piece right here. Here's the front. So we all know that we need to make sure we transfer all of our markings on our pattern. But sometimes you do just need to look and see which is for the view that you are making. So I'm going to zoom in here a little bit so I can show you what I'm talking about. If you're going to go with view D for the wide carriers, you need to transfer the squares. If you're going to go with view A and C for the narrow carriers, then you can transfer these small circles here. Now, if you see random dots and circles with no 4D or 4A, you need to transfer that all the time. That's for everything. Transfer that. Like these markings right here, these are for the pleats. You need to make sure that you transfer these. Make sure that you transfer your buttonhole markings and for your button as well. Now right here for your facing, this is something that is not notated in the patterns a lot. I'm going to check the instructions in just a minute because it may be notated in there. I'm not sure. But sometimes it just has you fold over and fold over again, which you can see you have 2 fold lines right here. It's always good to stabilize one of these fold lines, and I normally go with the first one here. I put a little bit of interfacing behind here because once we fold this in, I'm gonna try to show you right here. Ignore this portion, this is just extra tissue. But when you fold that in, you have another fold line, so you have to fold it in again. And you're right here up under your buttonholes. And you want to make sure your buttonholes are stabilized. I always like to interface this first strip right here. This may be like 2 inches. So I will stabilize this so that when I fold it over again, I will have a little bit of stability behind my buttonholes when I make those. I have seen some makers that like to stabilize this middle portion and trim some of this down. That way it's not so bulky up under here. So they may trim this down to maybe 5/8 of an inch, and then have this portion stabilized. So they'll fold over that 5/8 of an inch, and then fold all over this fold line here. So then it's all up under the buttonhole. Again, it's stabilized. It's just less bulky than interfacing this, folding that in and folding that in. Honestly, the choice is yours. However you want to do it. I just vote that you do stabilize either or. Make sure you stabilize one of these. So that's the first piece, and that's the size that I'll be cutting. Again, I'll be cutting to 20. Pattern piece, this is the back. Same deal here with the pleats. Now, someone reached out to me because they was making this skirt, and they was a little confused about this pleat. Let me go ahead and open up the instructions right quick so we can go over that as well. Okay, so step one, they have you to make the front pleats on the inside of the skirt. You're bringing the lines of the large circles together, and then you're stitching down that line, which is why I said I have my ruler nearby so I can make sure that I mark that line so I know where I need to stop at. And then you're going to press your pleats. We're also going to top stitch them, and right here where it says to fold in, they don't tell you to stabilize that, so that's why I told you that that is something that I will be doing. So they have you folding in the first portion and then stitching that down so raw edge invisibly in place. So yeah, we're gonna do that. Then we'll fold this over and make sure we basted it at the top. Okay, so this is the back piece, sewing those center seams together. Right here is where that back pleat is. Let me pull it over here so you can see. Okay, and then it says to sew down your center back seam on your back piece. So once we sew this down, this dot right here will basically be right at our seam allowance. So then in step C, it says to go ahead and stitch down just this portion and stop. Again, make sure you have your ruler so we can do that accurately. And then you're going to press that pleat flat. So you have it sewn. So now we're gonna lay the pieces out flat and press that pleat down so that that marking here that is now basically in the seam, right at the seam allowance, will meet up to here. So I had somebody reach out to me and said that part was a little confusing, so I will definitely be going over that really, really slowly in the tutorial, the sew along on Friday. Then we're top stitching all of the pleats, top stitching the back ones the same way we did the front ones, inserting our pockets, sewing our pockets closed and down the side seam, basting our pocket, applying interfacing to our facing pieces, finishing off the lower edge of the facing, sewing on the facing, tacking down the facing, doing our carriers for A and C and carriers for D, finishing off our hem, stitching it in place, doing our buttons and buttonholes, and then you have your optional tie for view D, and we'll be slip stitching that closed in the center. So with that little review of the pattern and the instructions, I'm really, really excited about this skirt even more. I hope that you all are too. If you felt that I went through that pretty quickly and kind of made it seem like, oh, I got this, it's not to be, you know, meant and received like that, but I feel confident that I'll be able to walk you through the tutorial without any problems. So I will definitely make sure that I take my time through each step as I come to them and as we sew them, so that you all will be able to walk through the pattern and have a successful skirt. I'm so excited, y'all, to be back behind the camera talking about patterns, getting ready to sew and share with you all. So again, make sure that y'all go ahead and subscribe, and Lord's will, I will see you all Friday on the 15th with the new sew along. Blessings, everyone. Bye.